Man, all praise to the Most High. Still gotta give me a horn, man. Still gotta give me a nice one. All right, so all praise be to the Most High. Happy new moon. So this is our third. It's our third new moon, right? Third new moon already, man. The year is moving by quick. It was just Passover yesterday. So everything moving by quick. So today's lesson. Well, actually, I'm gonna start off with a question I want y'all to keep in mind. Shalom to everybody online. But I'm gonna start off with a question I want everybody to keep in mind throughout the lesson. I'm gonna bring this question back up towards the end, and then I'm gonna be looking for some type of response as well. So I'm gonna need some feedback as well on this question. So the question is, what have you improved on since Passover? So once again, the question is, what have you improved on since Passover? So we do understand that we coming up to what? First fruits, right? So Passover, we was focusing on cleaning up the leaven, and we moved forward and we had a celebration for Simon and his courageousness. And then we moved on. Now we're going on to first fruits. So first fruits, you're supposed to bring your best work forward, right? So you should be cleaning out, you're still cleaning out your spirit. But we want to bring forth everything that we have to the Most High and make sure that we bringing our best effort to the Father. Make sure we're not cutting him short. We don't want him to look at us at the end and say, I never knew you, right? So the question again is, what have you increased on since Passover? So keep that in mind. Shoot, I might ask everybody to answer that question at the end. We'll see. So now the title of the lesson is called Defeated in the Mind and Tongue. So the reason why I chose this lesson is because it's been a hell of a couple weeks ever since Passover, honestly. A couple months, I would say. For me personally, it's been, up and down with trials and tribulations as most Israel go through. I even spoke to people that had similar testimonies of, frustration, irritation, not getting things completed, or being rejected and goals not being reached, or even, sicknesses, or even, loved ones passing away too. So it's been a hard time, but we understand in the spirit that's what was happening to our people back in the ancient days. When we was in the wilderness, that's exactly what was happening. Our people was getting killed. People was rebelling against the word of the Most High. People was losing the endurance and wasn't continuing with the Father and going out different ways. People was getting enticed by their own lusts and what they wanted. So in the spirit of things, that's exactly what happens in the truth. And what you're going to realize as we move on year by year by year, as you continue doing the same cycles of the feast, you're going to see the same pattern of things happening where you have in the beginning of the year, you're going to have, people, everybody going to be happy. But then once the time it gets to Passover, people fall off. And then by the time it gets to first fruits, there's a big increase. So that's just how it goes. And then you go out through the year to test your spirit and see if you're going to be there the year after. So we want to make sure that we increasing. So that's why I asked that question. So now in regards to the lesson, the reason why I chose in the mind and tongue is because I've seen that's something that's been happening with Israel a lot. Go ahead and give me Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 3. We'll start off there. So Jeremiah chapter 2. Chapter 2, verse 3. And then after that, you're going to jump down to verse 14. Let's start at verse 3. 14.
Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 3. Israel was holiness unto the Lord for the first fruits of his increase.
So the Most High says, or Jeremiah is talking and telling Jeremiah what to proclaim to Israel. He says Israel was holy unto the Lord, and there was the first fruits. So we understand that. We understand that we was known for a great nation. That's why we was chose. So everything that we did was great. Everything that we had was great. Every action that we did was great. So that's because Israel was holy. Go ahead.
All that devour him shall offend.
In any war that we went up to, that went to try to conquer us, the Most High said he was offended by those. Go ahead.
Evil shall come upon them, said the Lord.
And the Most High put revenge on the heathens for coming at us in that way, because the Most High cared for us that much. We know that we the chosen nation of the Father itself. And so he cared for us as his children. But now go ahead and jump down to verse 14, because the Most High, he mentioned something about Israel.
Verse 14, is Israel a servant Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled?
So now the Most High is questioning. So now we fast forwarding to how Israel acts today. What I see with this scripture, I like to use this scripture when trying to talk to someone with getting in the truth and saying that we shouldn't be dependable off of the the other nations and all those type of things. How we like to be spoon fed of information. Anything that the so-called white man or other nations give us, we just take it. We live in a microwave era, as they say, and everything that he gives us, we want it right away, instantly. Any type of rejection is some type of frustration for us. But what I start to see, or what I have noticed, even with myself too, is that sometimes we got that same spirit even in the truth. We like to be fed or spoon fed within the truth, and we still don't get the work done. So for an example, we like to let other people do the work, but then we don't like to step in as well and do the work. We figure that the leaders is going to take care of everything, but then we don't like to put in a helping hand in order to get everything functioning right. So what does that cause? That causes the leaders to be frustrated. That causes the leaders to be overwhelmed with all the stuff that they got to take on. So a lot of times, Israel, we kind of still have the same mentality, but we still act like homeborn servants. We want things fed to us. So now this lesson is to encourage us to get out of that mentality so we can go ahead and push forward and get back to that kingdom, right? And that's what we want to get to. So go ahead and give me Matthew chapter 5, verse 14. Matthew chapter 5, verse 14.
Matthew chapter 5 and verse 14. Ye are the light of the world.
So the Most High says Israel is the light of the world. Somebody tell me, how is Israel the light of the world? Go ahead, D, or Shaquat. How is Israel the light of the world?
The law, statutes, commandments was given to us.
That's understanding, right? So he gave us the law, statutes, and commandments in order for us to be the light. Go ahead.
A city that is set on an high cannot be hid.
On a hill cannot be hid. Go ahead.
Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bristle, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house.
So we understand the Most High, or Christ, is talking about the function of a light itself. A light is not to be hid under the bed, right? You put a light in order to bring light to the environment. So if you put a light in darkness, what are you gonna have? You're gonna have a lit room. Go ahead. Verse 16.
Verse 16. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works.
So now Christ is saying, let your light shine before men. So how do we make our light shine before men? So now my next question is, can your light shine in captivity? Ramayak, can your light shine in captivity? Khan. So you said it can. Now, how can your light shine in captivity? Give me an example of how your light can shine in captivity.
Keeping the commandments.
Keeping the commandments, Khan.
Loving your brother.
Uh-huh. All right, what about you, Makazak? I'm trying to get y'all Hebrew names down.
But not following the customs of this world.
Right.
Because that's what we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Each and every day is something thrown at us. So you're going to shine if you're not doing what everybody else doing. Everybody else want to, turn up, go to the club, go the hell off, and, eat pork and do all this other stuff. But if you're not doing it, somebody going to take notice, like, well, damn, this brother or this sister is not doing what everybody else is doing. And then certain people going to start paying attention to you.
Right.
So now you shining.
Right.
You different.
And then it starts to, what I start to realize, it starts to go down to your family, your household. People like the way that you kind of run your house rather than what they see. They used to seeing chaotic house homes, but then when they come to your home, they see, they see parents there actually, or they see kids in order. They see a clean environment. All these things is other ways that your light can shine. For example, Joseph, he shined in captivity. Esther and Mordecai, they shined in captivity. So why can't we shine in captivity today? So what the thing is how can we improve and what can we do to show our light to the world? Go ahead and give me Ezekiel chapter 37. Ezekiel chapter 37. And start at verse 1.
Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 1. The hand of the Lord was upon me, and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones.
So now we know the story, right? The valley of dry bones. Go ahead.
And caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry.
So we understand as Ezekiel, he went through the valley and he's seeing these dry bones, and these dry bones are very dry. Go ahead.
And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live?
So the Most High is telling Ezekiel, can these bones live? Go ahead.
And I answered, O Lord God, thou knowest.
So Ezekiel is looking at the condition of the bones, and he's saying, only you know, Lord. I don't know if these bones can live. Go ahead.
Again he said unto me, prophesy unto these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord God unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live.
So now this point right here that I want to bring out. So the Most High commanded us to speak to the dry bones, which in the spiritual sense, we understand that's Israel that's in the world right now, that don't understand who they are, that don't understand exactly that they Israelites. They're still going about what America tells them they are, and they fall under those conditions. But the Most High here, he says, speak life into these bones. So how do we speak our life into these bones if we don't have any life within ourselves that we can show? See, for Israel itself, Israel is a very a sheep-like people. They're going to follow you by example. So what I want to show is that we have to start leading by example in order for Israel to even want to take a hand. A lot of times the bad reputations that we have in Israel are the bad reputations from the outside of the world. And what they say about Israel is that Israel is just nothing but bums. They okay with living in the they're not goal driven. They're very pessimistic. They're negative. And that's some things that we've seen in the truth. I know I've seen that before. Where a lot of Israelites just say, oh, we in curses. We in curse conditions. So therefore, they have excuses on why they don't function right. They have excuses on why they don't like to groom themselves. They have excuses on why their households is chaotic. But no, the Most High says you got to speak life into these dry bones. So the life within inside you is what he gives you in order to speak to them. Go ahead and continue.
And I will lay sinews upon you, and I will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live.
So this is what we want. We need Israel to get back to repentance. We need Israel to get back to the word of the Most High. But a lot of times that we encounter is that Israel itself within is that we have a defeated mindset even when we go out into the street and speaking to Israel. How do we have that defeated mindset? Is that we hold ourselves down and say that we're not able to get into these higher opportunities, or we're not able to speak to certain individuals because we have self-doubt. There's a lot of self-doubt within Israel too. And that's what we do not want. Give me Isaiah 49 and verse 6. So everything starts within the mind. So as knowing that the Most High gave us a light to be, then we should take that pride in our day-to-day life and knowing that we are a light to the world. So once you have that confidence as being a light in the world, it should be seen within your actions. So Isaiah chapter 49, verse 6.
Isaiah chapter 49 and verse 6. And he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be a servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel.
So we know this is our job to restore the preserved of Israel. Go ahead.
I will also give thee a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation until the end of the earth.
Right. So if you're going to be a light to the Gentiles, how do we become a light to the Gentiles? By being an example, right? So that means in your day-to-day life, these are things that you're going to have to take on. So now jumping into the mind, I know for me personally, there's a lot of Israel that I've seen where they have that defeated mindset where they feel like, oh, I'm not good enough in order to teach the word. Or I'm not good enough in order to show somebody the word. And they get discouraged very easily. And that's the spirit that we don't want to have. If we have a defeated mindset, then how are we supposed to encourage somebody else to follow the walk? They're going to look at us as, why would I want to be like this individual if they can't even be something for me to live by? So like I brought out some of the rumors, Israel is very pessimistic. What does it mean to be pessimistic? Negative, calm. So the definition of being pessimistic is a negative mental attitude in which an undesirable outcome is anticipated from a given solution or situation. So what's the opposite of being pessimistic?
Optimistic.
Being optimistic. What does optimistic mean?
Yeah.
You said what?
Having an open mind.
Having an open mind. I like that one. What was you saying?
Positive.
Positive, con. All right, so the definition, it says, is an attitude reflecting a belief or hope that the outcome of some specific endeavor or outcomes in general will be positive, favorable, or desirable. So what do we have as Israelites that's very favorable? The kingdom, con. So now, what do we look like when we walking around with our head down? When we walking around with a defeated mindset, when we don't get certain opportunities, we might get rejected. What do we look like when we put ourselves so low, and when the Most High says that we have something that's desirable for us, we have something that's promising to us? But sometimes what I see is that Israel doesn't act like it. And I understand now we might act like it on the weekends, but what I want Israel to work on is acting like it throughout your day-to-day life. That's how you're able to bring more sheep in. If the only time you're looking for opportunity to bring more sheep in is on the weekend, then how is you going to be more profitable? You're not going to be as profitable as you live in your day-to-day life. That individual is going to see that right away. You're not going to see no growth within if you're doing it only once a week. And we know we don't want to be lukewarm with the Father. Give me Romans chapter 8, verse 37. So some of the examples that we kind of encounter, I brought out one that says we're living in curses. A lot of Israelites use that in order to provide reasoning on why they're not doing so well. I provide reasoning on why they can't succeed. I provide reasoning on why they even breaking the Most High laws, which is way out of order. See, this is some things that we encounter. Another examples that we have, even in our day-to-day, is, oh, I don't qualify for the job, or I'm not strong enough, or I'm gonna be single forever. Or some people say, I'll never lose this weight. Just having a defeated mindset is not something that Israel ever had. We never had a defeated mindset. Or even when we did have a defeated mindset, we had prophets that came and gave us that encouragement. So go ahead and get that. Romans chapter 8, verse 37. Mm-hmm.
Romans chapter 8 and verse 37. Nay, in all these things, we are more than conquerors.
So the Father says that you're more than conquerors. What is a conqueror?
Winner, champion.
Con, didn't we get conquered and we got brought over here? We was conquered as a nation. I mean, someone had full control of us. They have full control of everything. But the Most High says that we're more than conquerors. So how do we be more than conquerors? You be more than conquerors by following the laws of the Father. But there's a lot of details that we miss out on. So let me go ahead and go to the next one. Give me Psalm chapter 27, verse 1. So something that I found. So this is a quote from a movie, and it stood out to me. So the quote says, y'all probably would know it. It says, would you punch yourself in a street fight? And the person said, no, sir. Said, then don't punch yourself in a word fight. So that movie is from, you might know it, it's The Great Debaters with Denzel Washington. The reason I brought that quote out is because that's a lot of times that we do that. I can even speak up for myself. I recently had an interview, and I was going through the interview, and the person was like, she wasn't really that determined. She wasn't really feeling the interview anyway. She didn't feel like being there. She didn't feel like being on her job. So we were just going through the motions, and right away she just asked me if I'm able to work on specific days. So she asked me about the schedule. So I use the opportunity of telling her about the new moons and the Sabbaths and stuff like that when I'm unable to work, religious accommodations that the law holds. So her response was, oh, well, just to be honest with you, there's only one position left, and it's like 15 to 20 of you guys trying to apply for this position and had interviews. So therefore, I don't really see a big opportunity in you getting this position. But would you like to still go through this interview? So my mindset was like, nah, if you whatever, I'm not gonna go through the interview then. I'm cool, whatever. I'm good. I had a defeated mindset at that time. But then what I decided to do is towards the end, once I told her, like, I'll go ahead and just proceed on, she let me know that she ended up apologizing for even putting that out and giving me advice that if anybody do that, you still proceed on what you said you was gonna do. And that's what the Most High tells us in Romans chapter 8. He says that we're more than conquerors. So why do we have to be defeated? So I defeated my own self within that own scenario.
She was low-key testing me.
She was testing me. And it was a situation where I failed. But therefore, now I understand. So I went through the scriptures in order to give myself encouragement. So give me that Psalm chapter 27, verse 1.
Psalm chapter 27 and verse 1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life.
So the Father is the strength of our life. Then what do we have to fear? If I know that the Father is going to take care of me in the scenario, then why do I have to be afraid of the outcome? Or why do I have to be afraid of throughout the process? You know where that comes from? That comes from the microwave era that we live in. See, a lot of times we want things just handed to us and we want things to be done right away. But as soon as there's some resistance, then we get fearful. As soon as there's some resistance, then we quit. As soon as there's some resistance, then we give up and we're not encouraged anymore. We don't push forward. We say it's not possible to do it anymore. Are we not encouraged to keep going or keep pushing? And that's the biggest thing is what I realized. I was watching some videos of people that work out. People work out for different reasons. Some people just work out just to look good. And there's some people, I met this dude in the gym. He said he work out just for life. So therefore, when he get that call at 3, 4 in the morning, and someone passed away, that's his loved one, and his mind is able to be strong enough to take on that. So that's a different mindset that we have to have. We have the strength from the Father, but a lot of times our mind holds us back by our own flesh, by our own discouragement. Go ahead and give me a Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. Oh, Salakia. Give me Nehemiah chapter 8. Yeah, I know I skipped something. Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 1. Nehemiah chapter 8. And you can start at verse 1. So, Khan, this is about the Feast of Trumpets. When Ezra and Nehemiah, they got Israel back together and gathered together. So Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 1. Go ahead.
Nehemiah chapter 8 and verse 1. And all the people gathered themselves together as one man into the street that was before the water gate. And they spake unto Ezra, the scribe, to bring the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord have commanded to Israel.
Go ahead.
And Ezra the priest brought the law before the congregation, both of men and women, and all that could hear with understanding, upon the first day of the seventh month.
First day of the 7th month, Feast of Trumpets. Go ahead.
And he read therewith before the street that was before the water gate, from the morning until midday, before the men and the women, and those that could understand. And the ears of all the people were attentive.
So all the people gathered together. And we was reading through the law. The priest was reading through the law. And Israel was very attentive to the book of the law. Go ahead.
Until the book of the law.
Mm-hmm.
And Ezra the scribe stood upon the pulpit of wood, which they had made for the purpose. And beside him stood...
you can jump down to verse 5.
And Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was above the people.
Mm-hmm.
And when he opened it, all the people stood up. And Ezra blessed the Lord, the great God. And all the people answered, Amen, amen, with lifting up their hands, and they bowed their heads.
So this was a joyous time for Israel right here. We came back as a nation. The priest was giving us a law that we fell from and was getting us back in order and letting us know that this was a holy day. And Israel was joyous. Jump down to verse 8.
Verse 8. So they read in the book in the law of God distinctively, and gave the sense, and caused them to understand the reading. And Nehemiah, which is the Teshatha, and Ezra the priest, the scribe, and the Levites that taught the people, said it to all the people, This day is holy unto the Lord your God. Mourn not, nor weep. For all the people wept when they heard the words of the Lord.
So it was an emotional time. Israel was down at this time, so we were just trying to rebuild as a nation. So therefore, we see that right now. That's the same thing we're trying to do, is just rebuild as a nation, and we down. But in verse 10 is something that we got to remember. Go ahead.
Then he said unto them, Go your way, eat the fat, and drink the sweet, and send portions unto them for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy unto your Lord. Neither be ye sorry, for the joy of the Lord is your strength.
So the Most High says, don't sit in a state where you just sorrowful, or don't sit in a state where you just doubtful of everything that happened prior, or don't sit in a state where you just going down on yourself in a negative way. The Most High says, be happy because he is your strength. So he is our encouragement. So anytime that we run into a situation where we feel like we've been doubtful, or we're not moving forward, we don't see any type of increase, then we have to look within ourselves and make sure and remind ourselves that the Most High is the one that gave us the strength. The Most High is our encouragement. The Most High is the reason why we should push forward. See, we got to have more examples within Israel in order to get more Israel to understand on why it's important to repent, because the law itself will bless you. The law itself will keep you out of certain situations and will give a great increase if you're there for the Most High. Give me Acts chapter 2, verse 39.
You said 2?
Yeah, chapter 2, verse 39. And somebody said on the comments, they said people need to read about the Maccabees. That's true, because the Maccabees itself, they show strength. Even through the worst situation that you can be in, they're not putting us to death right now here in America. When the Maccabees is being put to death, but they still was encouraged, right? We just got past Memorial Simon. What did Simon do? He encouraged the nation in order to get up and lift himself up so we can get back to the goal, get back to what we were supposed to do, right? See, the Most High will give us these reminders, but we have to take heed of these things. And we don't want to be in that situation where we just down low, because then that's when your conqueror know he got you conquered. We don't want to be in that position. Go ahead and get that.
Acts chapter 2 and verse 39. For the promise is upon you and to your children and to all that are far off.
See, it's something that we kind of got to remind ourselves. We know it, but you really got to remind yourself, do you not know that the promise is unto you? The promise is for you. That means the earth itself, you're supposed to have dominion over. The earth itself, you're supposed to have control over. You're not supposed to be living in these conditions. You're not supposed to be just a normal 9-to-5 servant. So what does that tell me? That tells me within my day-to-day life, even if I'm in a position of being doubtful, I should always increase for the best. I should always request for the best, because I know that that's what I am, or that's who I am. So that can go if that's for your job or your schooling. If you at work, why not ask for an increase? Why not ask for additional pay? You might think that sounds crazy, but a closed mouth don't get fed. And there's a lot of times where you ask for a type of a pay increase, and then they start watching you, and then they give you opportunities. That's when doors start opening. A lot of times, Israel, we just stay in this one position and put a lid on on what we can do. Put a lid on our talent when it comes out to just being in the world. In the world, we have our light. That doesn't mean that you trim your way. Definitely doesn't mean that. That means you increase, and that means that you show your example. You stand up for yourself, but you can't stand up for yourself in your job environment and then be a slouch. You can't stand up for yourself in the work field, but then be late all the time and be not clean and not meeting the objectives. You need to succeed the objectives. That's what Joseph did, right? That's exactly what Joseph did. And Joseph understood that. So this is just a reminder for Israel to understand that the promise is for you. The promise is for you. And we know that in Acts chapter 2, read verse 5, just for anybody that think it's not talking about Israel. Read verse 5. Because people were saying, oh yeah, the promise is to you. And to the seed of thy seed, that's the whole world. Nah, it's talking about one nation, the seed of their seed. Go ahead.
Acts chapter 2 and verse 5. And there were dwelling in Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven.
So it says Jews, a devout man out of every nation. Because what? Israel was scattered. Israel scattered right now, right? But it says devout man. What does it mean to be a devout man?
Discipline.
Yeah, disciplined man. Matter of fact, let's get the definition. Get the formal definition of it. Devout.
Is having or showing deep religious feelings or commitment.
And then the second part says totally committed to a cause or belief. So we have to be committed to this. This is your day-to-day walk. This is not just a weekend thing. This is not just a Saturday, a Shabbat or Sabbath thing. This is an everyday life wherever you go, whoever you're around, even if you're by yourself type thing. And that's what I want Israel to get back to. And you know, that's a reminder for myself. I took a fail on that. I gave out my example because I understood I took that fail. And I mean, she still didn't say I got the job or not. Hopefully I did get the job, but you know, at the end of the day, it was still like Aram said, it was a test. See, the heathen, they'll ask you, they'll see how prideful you are. They know exactly who you are. You wearing those fringes. They know what the fringes is. Don't think your job don't know who you are. Don't think when you go into the store, they don't know who you are. I forgot the percentage, but they say majority of the people, they judge you based off of what they see, but they don't come up to you and tell you. So they already making a judgment call of you while you just walking through. So people know exactly who you are. You representing the Most High. And what does he say? He says you're the light of the world. The light of the world, and the light is not supposed to be hidden. So you put out there. Go ahead,
Right, yeah, it's powerful what you're saying, but I don't think we understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the word integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Always remember, like, it's what you're doing when nobody's looking.
Yeah,
They are always looking.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And I noticed that at my job. Like, they always looking. And you might think nobody's looking, but they paying attention, bro. Especially if you're wearing fringes and you acting different.
Right.
You got a beard all of a sudden. You used to have a naked face.
Right.
You really need to come in every day with that mindset that, damn, I'm different. And eyes is always home.
Right.
And I'm representing the Most High.
I'm representing the Father.
I don't think we do that well enough.
Not well enough. There's some improvements, but not well enough. And that's the reason why I brought this out. Is because we're going into first fruits. You bring your first fruits ever. You bring your whole everything. You're the first fruit, really. You're the first fruit to the Most High. That was read in the first scripture. But you bring everything yourself for it. You're the holy temple. You need to clean out your temple, making sure that everything within is being grown well, making sure your fruits, your habits is growing well. You know, I think Rati brought this on this lesson. Just one quick point, and then I did I started go ahead and watching videos on it. The law of 1%. So the law of 1% was talking about you know, you increase 1% daily, then you can go ahead and reach that goal. And they had great stories of people that increased 1% in every little detail. 1%, and it allowed them to succeed. It allowed them to get to where they wanted to. Now, if you put 1% here, 1% there, all over the place, you're going to have a collection of what? 45%, 20%, 30%. That's a big percent. That's a big increase. Imagine you did 20% better than what you did yesterday. And then you continue from there, you can continue growing. See, that's what we got to get back to. Because that's what Israel did. When we went into captivity and we had the leaders that came and encouraged us, like Simon did, and gave us the motivational speech. That's basically what he did. Gave us a motivational speech to remind us who we are. What did Israel do? They turned around and they took heed of these things. They got rid of all those things that they was doing wickedly. And those things don't happen in just a day, but shoot, you got to make it happen though. Only you know what you're going to do when you're in your day-to-day life and nobody else is around. So now let's go ahead and move on here. Let me see.
So
Very,
Jason,
very
need to
important.
Look that law 1% up.
That law of 1% is cold, man. The law of 1% is cold. So now another part I want to touch on, which this is just a short lesson, but another part I want to touch on is in regards to the tongue. Because since we are the light of the world and we are going out to the dry bones in order to get them life, we have to speak life into the dry bones, right? So when Israel comes into repentance, I've heard many testimonies and many people that have fell off because they say that Israel is very, it's a lot of backbiting. It's a lot of gossip going on. It's a lot of hatred going on, which that was happening back in the wilderness. So of course it's still going to happen now. But a lot of times what I've noticed, even with the tongue can discourage for somebody to view themselves in a way. Your tongue itself and your influence on somebody can make somebody think of their life in a total different way. For example, a kid or child can say, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. The parent can say, you ain't no damn lawyer. You ain't no damn doctor, or whatever it might be. That's just an example. But what does that do? In the kid's heart, dang, you just crushed my dreams because you was the person I was looking up to. And I was hoping that you will vouch for me and give me some encouragement to keep pushing. That's the same way when people come into the truth, they look at you the same way. They look at you, you're supposed to have the right example. They expecting your home to be right. They expecting you having a good job, possibly. They expecting your everything, your finance. They expecting to go to you for everything. You got to know about finances. You got to know about health. You got to know about just taking care of yourself physically. your meditation. You got to know how to take care of a home, how to get a home. All those things play a part. But when people come into the truth, that's what they're looking for. They don't find it. And we striving to get there. We're not there yet. But we striving to get there. But what's so crazy about the tongue itself is the tongue itself can decide if that person is going to be able to continue forward or not. Give me Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18.
12, 18.
Proverbs chapter 12. Verse 18. So now we covering the tongue. So we talked about the mind and the defeated mindset and how we have that encouragement, knowing exactly who we are and how we push forward. Now we're going to cover the tongue because the tongue is a cold aspect of the body. Go ahead.
Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18. There is that speaketh like a piercings of a sword.
So he said there is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword. So speaking about the tongue itself. Go ahead.
But the tongue of the wise is health.
So you can either pierce someone, you could defeat someone with your tongue, or you can bring a restoration to someone with your tongue, with health. So how do we do that? Now, when we go out street teaching, right? That is the job. It's not always about condemning. It's not always about rebuking. But I want to touch on that too, because it is part of rebuking. It is still part of health. Because when you go to a doctor, you got to get surgery. You got to get cut first in order to get healed, right? So we still have that in the spirit of things, but we want to make sure that our intentions is pure. So what does that look like? So now if you're speaking to someone on the street and you condemning them for what they do, you tell them the problem, but then you got to tell them the solution too. You tell them the problem, then you tell them the reason behind it too. So then they'll be able to understand why is this out of order? For example, homosexuality. We know it seems obvious on why it will be out of order, but a lot of people don't feel that way. So now you got to somewhat in a way figure out how can I talk to this this individual that the Most High cares about, and how can I get them back on the right track? So I love what Aram did when he talked to the two, I think it was lesbian couples. He spoke to them. He reasoned with them. He gave them understanding on why it's a bad thing. And a lot of times if you just talk to your people, then they're going to be able to understand. It's not always about, coming hard on them, telling them that, you're going to go to hell and all that type of stuff. You a faggot and all that. God, yeah, they be saying all that. Now, see, the thing is about restoring Israel. So what did Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18 say? Read it again.
There is that speaketh like a piercings of a sword. So you can speak to someone and you can pierce them like a sword. You can cut them and you can leave that dagger in them too. And it can be very ineffective where they're not healing. You can go in for bloodshed. But then what is the second part? What does it say? But the tongue of the wise is health.
But it says the tongue of the wise has the intentions of doing it to heal you. The tongue of the wise has intentions of recovering you, or restoring you. That's what we want to have to do. That's what we have to do. It's restoration of Israel. That's what Isaiah 49 verse 6 said, right? The restoration of Israel. That's what the gospel is, right? That's what we represent, right? Christ preached what? The gospel. That's who we follow. Believers of the way. So therefore, everything that we do has to be out of the intentions of healing. So it can come in an aggressive matter, but then we always there to heal. We always there to sew up the patch that we cut in order so it can heal back and be connected. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Matthew chapter 12, verse 36. Matthew chapter 12, verse 36.
Matthew chapter 12 and verse 36. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment.
So remember this, Israel. Every single word that you speak, every idle word that you say, the Most High says, I got to hold you accountable for that. The Most High says, I got to judge you off of that. And the Most High says, you got to be held accountable. That's a cold thing. Because it's a lot of times, and I'm a victim of it too. That's a lot of times where you misspeak on something or you say something out of emotion. And therefore, the Most High like, damn, I still got to hold you accountable to that though. Because why? You didn't hold yourself accountable. And there's I wanted to get it. I didn't write it down. It's an example in James about the boat. And I believe it was talking about the boat itself. They said a big ship is controlled by the steering wheel, a small steering wheel, but it can still get over the waves and all those type of things. It's powerful, but it's controlled by that steering wheel. They said that's like the tongue. The tongue control everything. And the control itself, you got it?
You talk about 3 and 6.
James 3.
Yeah, come on, let's get that real quick. I want to get this one. James chapter 3.
You want 5 or
Let's start up a little bit.
You want to start at verse 4, I think.
Yeah, start at verse 4. Come on, that's it right there.
James chapter 3 and verse 4. Behold, also the ships, which though they be so great,
So we know ships is huge. Think of the Titanic. Big ships. Go ahead.
and are driven of fierce winds,
And these ships is smashing against winds and still pushing forward. Go ahead.
yet are they turned about with a very small helm.
They turned about with a very small helm. What is that talking about? They're talking about that steering wheel. Go ahead.
Whatsoever the governor listed.
So whatever the man of the ship itself controls it, it's going to go that direction. He has control of it. Go ahead.
Even so, the tongue is a little member and boasteth of great things.
So he compares the tongue to being a little thing, but it still controls great things. The tongue itself, the Most High is going to hold you accountable for your tongue. And the tongue is dangerous. Go ahead and read it.
Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth.
A little fire kindleth. That's your tongue right there. Read verse 6.
And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity.
A world of iniquity. Go ahead.
So is the tongue among our members.
Even the tongue among our members. What is that talking about? That can talk about even the small ones that's within the congregation or the body. The small ones within the body, they even have a strong aspect in this walk on how the body is going to move forward. Go ahead.
That it defileth the whole body.
It can defile the whole body. A little cancer cell can spread out throughout the whole body. Go ahead.
And setteth on fire the course of nature.
A little fire from a lighter can cause a forest fire. Go ahead.
And is set on a fire of hell.
It can destroy. It can destroy. So the tongue itself, even though it's a small member of the body, it's something very important to take heed of, to be mindful of it. Be mindful of how we use our tongue. Try to get that control. That's what a conqueror is, right? They have control of their environment. That's what a dominant individual is, right? That's what a creator and that the Most High made us to be. We were supposed to be dominant over the earth, to have dominion. So therefore, how are we going to have dominion of the earth if we can have dominion over our own tongue? How are we going to have dominion over the heathen? They going to look at us and worship us, but we can't even control how we speak. How are we supposed to do that? How are we supposed to do that? So we gotta focus on these things too. So tongue is strong. Give me Proverbs.
Read
Go ahead.
7 and 8. Read 7 and 8.
Okay, go ahead and read verse 7 and 8. Go ahead. James chapter 3, verse 7.
Verse 7. For every kind of beast and of birds and of serpents and of things in the sea is tamed and have been tamed of mankind.
See, Jay, he's saying, look, every beast is tamed by the man. You can hold down that beast. People having the big old pit bulls. They've been controlling them giraffes. They got the lions in the zoo. They control all these great beasts. Go ahead.
But the tongue can no man tame.
No man can control his tongue, though. No man can control his tongue. But what is that for you? Does that mean you sit there and doubt? Oh, I can control it. Most High gonna forgive me. When has the Most High ever give you a license to sin? He never gave you a license to sin. The Most High, he told you in Matthew chapter 12 that he's gonna hold you accountable to every idle word. But then he said, look, watch out for that tongue, though, because that tongue itself, nobody can control it or nobody can tame it. Because what? Read it.
It is unruly evil, full of deadly poison.
The tongue is full of deadly poison. So ask the Native Americans what happened when they listened to somebody using their tongue. We know that. But go ahead. Let me get Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21. Did we get this one? No, we got Proverbs 12, 18. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21. So these are the little things that Israel might not address at all times. And, these are those small things, those small details, those small leaven that we have, that leaven that we take hold of that leaven that we don't clean, and we just figured it's all right. The Most High gonna forgive us. No, we want to hold ourselves to a higher standard. Get ourselves back to where we're supposed to be. Get ourselves back on control of things, how things are supposed to be ran. It starts with you first. Read verse 20. Actually, read verse 19. Yeah, read verse 19 first.
Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 19. A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city.
So it says a brother offended is harder to be won in a strong city. How do we offend our people nowadays? Through that tongue, through insults, through lies, through backbiting, through gossip. We do all those things. Israel be offended. I've been in a situation where I feel offended. And you don't want to talk to nobody. Don't tell me nothing. I don't want to hear nothing about that. And that's why the Most High says it's harder to win a person over like that has been offended than a strong city. So a city that got a big old walls and that got an army that's controlling. Imagine America, a strong city or a strong country. Nobody overthrowing America. The Most High said, a person that's offended is harder to overrule. Or a person that's offended is harder to gain. Go ahead.
And their contentions are like the bars of a castle.
Their contentions like the bars of a castle. You ain't gonna break through them bars. Them bars, you're gonna have to assault them bars. And it's gonna take years, it's gonna take time to get through them bars, to break through that. Go ahead.
A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruits of his mouth.
So now it says, a man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth. So what is this talking about? See, with our tongue itself, your tongue is so powerful. You can do so many things. You don't even have to have, like in your job experience or with working, get in a high position. It's literally just on how you talk and who you know, and you can get in a higher position on how you speak to people, how you deal with people. You can be fed well. You can have a successful life if you know how to use that tongue right. If you know how to use your tongue in order to talk to people, communicate, in order to gain favor. A lot of people, but then they can use that for your wrong side of it too, for your detriment. That's the word I was looking for. They can use it for your detriment too. What does that mean? They can use it against you. So therefore, they can say something about you that's gonna build you up. Man, I seen you been doing this. All right, man, I seen you been cold out there on the streets, or whatever. I seen you been they flatter you first. They make you feel good. That's a fly shirt you got. That's a nice chains. Those are nice shoes. They brown nose you. Some nice shoes. Dang, where you get that from? Next thing you know, stabbing you in your back in order to take what you got, taking everything that you had, looking in order to take over your position. That's why the Most High said, don't trust your enemy. It says your enemy as his iron rusted, so shall his wickedness. So that happens. Go ahead. Did we finish that?
And with the increase of his lips shall he be filled.
So the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Go ahead, read verse 21.
Verse 21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue.
See, death, our life is in the power of the tongue. So you choose. We trying to get death, or we trying to get life? You know what the scriptures say, I believe, in Joshua? You know, therefore, you choose this day who you shall serve. Or in this household, we shall. Oh, God. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. God. So you make the decision on what you're going to do. But make that decision, too, when you're living in your day-to-day life, when you conversating. That even when you're talking to somebody that's not in the truth. This is not just going for people that's in the truth. This is going towards people that's not in the truth. Because what? We're supposed to be a light to the Gentiles. Who is the Gentiles? The Gentiles that we referring to is the ones who don't know this law. The ones who ain't living this law. The ones who don't even understand who they are. That's going to day-to-day life just feeling like it's okay to be just another black man getting gunned down in the street. It's okay to grow up in gang violence. It's okay to have single-parent households. It's okay. They feel like that's okay with their life. But now when you come to them and you tell them, no, we're not supposed to be living that way. We're supposed to have parents in the household. They look at you crazy. What you mean you're supposed to have parents in the household? What you mean you're supposed to have children that you're supposed to gird up? Your children, you're supposed to be an example to your kids. What you mean that my school systems is not supposed to be in the ghettos? I don't got to walk down the street hoping I don't get banged on. What you mean I can't wear certain colors? What you mean I'm royal? What's that? So when you say all these things to Israel, believe it or not, they listen to you. Israel do listen. They listen. But you know what they doing? They like, well, let me look at you, though. So, oh, I'm holy though, right? I'm holy. And then they looking at you, hey, shoot, you don't look holy. they looking at your attire from just how you conduct yourself. You know, it's a lot of times where I'm pretty sure everybody got friends in the world that we talk to, and they know what we do. They know that we about this word. They know that we be on the street corners every Saturday. They know that we not going out on Friday nights. Or they know we not eating pork and all these type of things, but they trying to see what are you doing different than I'm not doing besides that though still. You know, Israel, they want more detail. they want to see something great. They want a sign, a bigger sign, even though that's already a sign. But still, man, we got to tighten up on that. Drop that. Give me James. Or matter of fact, let me get Ephesians chapter 4, verse 16. I skipped over this one. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 16.
Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 16. From whom the whole body fitly joined together and compact by that which every joint supplieth.
So this is talking about the body. So the body itself is collective. It's together. It's joint together. Go ahead.
According to the effectual workings in the measure of every part.
But every single part, every single detail have its own job or duty. Read.
Making increase of the body unto the edifying of itself in love.
So every single aspect of the body itself plays a part. Every single aspect of the body plays its part. So as we diving into this lesson, we diving into your day-to-day life. You play a part because you're gonna be even more effective when we out there and you bringing it forth to the body. You're gonna be even more effective when we try to teach the word because now you living off an example. It's better when you living off an example. We don't want to be hypocrites like the scribes and Pharisees. We don't want to live down that path. And there's a lot of Israelites, the ones who bash camps and stuff like that. They say we just modern Pharisees. Why? Because there's a lot of Israelites who say certain things on the street, but then when they go home, it's the total opposite. Or then when they go to work, it's the total opposite. When they deal with their wife or husband, whatever, it's the total opposite. When they deal with their brother, it's the total opposite. When they kids, it's total opposite. It's what watch those things. They watch every single detail. And the Most High watches every single detail too. That's on the verge. I'm gonna say it. That's being lukewarm. That's being lukewarm. That's being somewhat hot and then cold. That's being very on fire and then jumping over to the side, to the cold side. So we don't want to be like that. I'm a victim too. So therefore, I bring this lesson out to rebuke my own self. Let's push forward. This first fruits, we got to put our best work forward. Give me James chapter 1, verse 26.
James chapter 1 and verse 26. If any man among you seem to be religious.
So now it says, if any man among you seem to be religious, and don't get thrown off by this word, religious. It's just talking about the practice. When you look at the word religious or being a person that follows a religion, it means it's the practice that they do. You brush your teeth religiously. You take a shower religiously. So what is our religion? Our religion is the word. We keep the laws and the commandments. That's our religion in a sense, if you want to take it down that route. So read it again.
If any man among you seem to be religious.
So if any man among you seem to be religious, boasting himself to be a great leader, boasting himself to be I'm a holy one of the Most High. I'm an Israelite according to the Bible. I'm not black or African American. I'm not Mexican. I'm not Guatemalan. I'm not whatever you want to say. You say I'm an Israelite. Go ahead.
And brideth not his tongue.
But it said if you seem to be that way, but you don't bridle your tongue. What is bridle? When you have the bridle it goes over the I believe that's what go over the horse's mouth. It controls the horse's mouth. It restrains it. So it says if you seem to be that person where you're religious and you about this word, but you can't control your mouth, what is it? Go ahead.
But deceiveth his own heart.
You deceive your own self. Deceiving your own self. So now you got a question. Damn, am I really in the truth? Am I going off? Is there some more leaven I need to clean up? We deceive our own self by that. Go ahead.
This man's religion is vain.
This man's practice is vain. That's how you become a Pharisee. That's how you become a Pharisee and a scribe. And Christ was coming rebuking him. That's why he was getting cut to the spirit because it was like, God damn. It just cold. It's something that it's a sensitive topic. Sensitive because most of us go through that. And we got to be true with ourselves. Like, man, we need to fix this for real. Read verse 27. Go ahead.
Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this.
So this is what pure religion looks like. Go ahead.
To visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction.
So Most High says to visit. Pure religion is to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction. That means that you looking towards the ones that need assistance, the ones that need help, and you got a helping hand out. You should be the first one to put your hand out for your people. You know, we put our life on the line for our people. We front lining. You front lining. What does the front line in the army do? They protecting the city. They protecting the city, and they rely on the army and the those soldiers in order to go ahead and handle business. They know that their life is in safety because of their soldiers. But see, what we do, we have to have that same mindset. That we going out there to defend the word, defend the gospel. We trying to heal, try to bring people back to the gospel, the light, restore Israel. We trying to tend on to the ones that's in need, the fatherless, the widows, the broken ones. There's a lot of broken Israelites out there. In the truth too. Broken Israelites. Go ahead and finish that off.
And to keep himself unspotted from the world.
Keep ourselves unspotted. You know what that is? That's blameless. That's that white garment. That's that white garment in Revelations that they was talking about. When they put on that white holy garment, the white robe, chosen ones. We want to be unspotted from the world. That's what I'm trying to get to. That's what we all need to try to get to, right? Oh, let's get to it then. Give me a 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Yeah, 2 Corinthians chapter 4. And let's read verse 1. Let's run through it real quick.
2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 1. Therefore, seeing we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we faint not.
We receive mercy. Christ came to give us another opportunity. This is mercy. This is grace, true grace. To get it right, though. Go ahead.
But have renounced the hidden things of this dishonesty.
So we got rid of all of the dishonesty. We're not keeping Christmas no more. We're not keeping the pagan holidays no more. We're not trying to follow the ways of the world anymore. Go ahead.
Not walking in craftiness, nor handling the word of God deceitfully.
Nor we trying to get money for our people, trying to be deceitful, using the word in order to get sisters, using the word in order to get gain, to get a higher position, to get fame. We're not doing that. That's all in vain. The Most High does not want us to be doing that. So we're not there no more. This scripture is for us. Go ahead.
But by manifestation of the truth.
By manifestation of the truth. We're bringing the truth alive. We're bringing life into the bones, into the dry bones. Ezekiel 37. That's what it's talking about. Go ahead.
Commanding ourselves to every man's conscience in the sight of God.
Every man's conscience. When we go out there, we're talking to the spirit. We're not worried about the flesh. We're not talking to the flesh on how they can look better, what they appear on. We're talking to the spirit on how they can improve their spirit, how they can get back to the Father, because the Most High is only worried about the spirit. This flesh ain't nothing. He said, what does it talk about? So you're going to have celestial and terrestrial bodies. So I'm going to give you a new body. This flesh ain't nothing. This flesh, well, it just brittles down and falls into dirt, goes back to dirt where it came from. Go ahead.
But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost.
But if the gospel be hid, then it's hid to them that are lost. So if we that light, we got to be out there showing that light. We have to show our light and be ready to show that light too. And be prideful. Be confident. Don't be defeated in your mind. I shouldn't have been defeated in my mind and say, yeah, you know what? Yeah, y'all can have that position. No, I want that position. And I'm going to get a better position after I get that position. You don't defeat yourself in your mind. You demand for what you are. You demand for what you want because of who you are. Go ahead.
In whom the God of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not.
The God of this world, the wickedness of this world is all in vain. They blind the mind of us. They blind in the mind, so we can't move forward. Go ahead.
Lest the light of the gracious gospel of Christ,
the glorious, go ahead,
whom is the image of God, should shine upon them.
Come on, go ahead.
For we preach not ourselves, but Christ.
See, we're not preaching ourselves. And this is not even a flex to say, you know, if the Most High willing, you get in a beautiful position, it's not even a flex to say, look what I got, look what I do, or look what I got, whatever. Look at all the things I can buy, whatever. It's not about that. What it's about is getting people back to what we're supposed to have. What it's about is getting to know people that you're not supposed to be living in the ghettos. You're not supposed to be living off of food stamps. You're not supposed to be in those positions, but give them understanding of why you're in that position, because of the curses. Look, let me tell you what we used to have. Let me read the story in the scriptures of how we had kings. Let me show you what King David did, the passion that Solomon had, and his position in life. His what Abraham, they say he was known throughout the East Country. What was the East Country known for? It was known for wisdom. Oh, I believe that was Solomon. Oh, no, that was Abraham. The East Country. The East Country was known for being a very wise people. So when people be going into all these pagan, they be saying we Chaldeans, because Chaldeans was known for being what? Very wise. They was very wise people. People thinking they get deep like, oh, I'm a Chaldean. No, you come from Abraham. Abraham, he was known amongst the Chaldeans. They knew who he was. They say he was the wisest amongst the East Country. That's who we was. So we're not known as a people that's supposed to be stupid, slow, ignorant. You know, one of the things right away, we know how things are supposed to be. We know about patience. We know about growth. We don't sustain ourselves to this microwave era. Things take time to grow. Most High said precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. He didn't say a whole lot, a chunk here, a chunk there. No, he said here a little, there a little. Joshua want to say meditate therein day and night. How you meditate? You got to meditate on what you just read. How you going to meditate a whole book? You about to meditate on the whole book of Revelation. You ain't going to get no understanding for that. See, the Most High was all about development. The Most High, well, he took 7 days to create the earth, or 6 days to create the earth. Salakia, 6 days. He didn't say just here. It was created. He had to. He made sure he took time himself. He's the creator. We the creation. Therefore, we still got the same aspect. So things is not going to be just right away. They're not going to be right away. So things take time. You got to develop yourself. Be patient. Study. Ask questions. Get under people that got something that you like. You know, learn from them. Grow. You know, be patient. And that's what the Most High is all about. Continue though. Read verse 5 again.
For we preach not ourselves, but Christ, and ourselves your servants for Yahweh's sake. For God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness.
So he commanded the light to shine out of darkness. Go ahead.
Have shined in our hearts to give the light of knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Yahweh's Christ.
The cool part is he said have shined in your hearts. What is your heart? Your mind. How does your mind shine? How can you make your mind shine? You can make your mind shine in the way we process things. Think of Joseph, how he did it. Joseph, he was in a horrible situation, but he still reflected. He still meditated. He still wasn't ignorant, even though he was in captivity under the Egyptians. He still realized that, look, they was doing something wrong. He was like, look, I got a solution for you. So what does that tell me? I could provide a solution to a corporation. I could provide a solution in my job if I need to. They're gonna say, damn, that was smart. Yeah, why do you even think about that? Because what? The Most High gave it us within your mind. You had dominion over the earth. Adam, he had dominion over all the animals. When you look into the definition of animals, of the word for each animal in their particular name, it's fit based off of their characteristic. So that means Adam himself, he understood on how these certain animals operated. So it takes time. We gotta be willing to learn these type of stuff. Like I know we grew up in school and I wanted to learn. I know I wasn't trying to learn nothing. I didn't care. I just wanted to play ball. I just wanted the females. I just wanted to look good, whatever. You know, I had a backpack coming to school late. I'm walking in class like, think I'm cool, whatever. I'm walking up to the pencil sharpener because I got a new fit on. You know, all those type of things. But no, in reality, look, we the one who built, we the one who taught what the heathen is trying to teach us. We taught them that decades ago. They behind because then we stopped teaching them because we stopped learning. If we continue learning, the earth will be in a great advancement. The earth itself is way behind in development for things. America, even alone, is great behind it compared to other countries. They be thinking other countries or America is far behind. Look at China. You go to China, technology is way surpassing what America technology is. Just technology got the stronghold though. I mean, America would call China and say, I need that. I'll sell it over here because you ain't gonna get no profit over there. And shoot, they'll do it. But bringing that all out because look, that's who we are though. We're the ones who built everything. We're the ones who established everything. So keep that in mind in your day-to-day life. Go ahead.
Verse 7, that we have this treasure in earthly vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of God and not of us.
The excellency. Be excellent in everything you do. Go ahead.
We are troubled on every side.
Yeah, we troubled on every side, but what?
But yet not distressed.
We not stressed out though. What Nipsey says, I don't stress out. He said, poke my chest out. The weight on my world, something, the best out. I forgot what he said. But look, we don't stress out. The Most High said, don't stress. We got all these things on the side of us, you know, the bills or whatever. We still don't stress out though, because I know who I am. Go ahead.
We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken.
See, we persecuted, but not forsaken. And brothers getting put to death. Everybody know who Christ is, though. Everybody still know who Christ is. Everybody know these great men. You can say David, you can say Solomon. People be knowing these people's names. King James, LeBron James, eventually their name is gonna fade away. Or it's not gonna be a great staple as just basketball. When you think like decades later, people think about Christ, like, dang, Christ, though, he did some things I can't believe now. You think about LeBron James, I mean, no disrespect, you know, still a great brother. He an athlete, a monster. But compare that to Christ, people think about Christ now and be like, we can't do that. For LeBron, people are like, yeah, I can still do that right now. So it's a difference. I'm just showing the difference. Go ahead.
Cast down, but not destroyed.
You're not destroyed. Go ahead.
Always bearing about in the body of the dying of the Lord Yahweh Shai, that in the life also of Yahweh Shai might be manifest in our body.
Go ahead.
For we which live are always delivered unto death for Yahweh Shai's sake, that the life also of Yahweh Shai might be made manifest in our mortal flesh.
See, Yahweh Shai is within you. Remember, you the living temple. Where's the high holy place? Ratas jumped on that lesson. That was a minute ago. The high holy place. You know, you the temple itself. Go ahead.
So then death worketh in us, but life in you. We have in the same spirit of faith, according to what is written. I believe, and therefore have I spoken. We also believe, and therefore speak, knowing that he which raised up the Lord Yahweh Shai shall raise up us also by Yahweh Shai, and shall present us with you. For all things are for your sakes, that the abundant grace might through the thanksgiving of many rebound to the glory of God, for which cause we faint not. For though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day.
So the inward man is renewed day by day. So brothers, go research that. Ancestors, research that law of 1%. You know, research those type of things on good methods on how you can increase in your day-to-day life. It could be very small things. You know, switch it up. It gets into detail. To the bed. You know how your bed is made, on how your pillow is, on everything, on your clothes, on how you feel. You know, it's very detailed on your growth. Everything plays a factor. So let's renew ourselves. Let's continue striving. Let's abound in the works of the Father. Let's get involved as well. Bring your efforts forward. That's the only way the body is going to be able to move forward too. So let's renew ourselves day by day. And let's get ready for first fruits. And now I got to go back to that question. The original question. The original question is this. What have you increased on, or what have you improved on since Passover? Now, if anyone would like to share, you can. And if not, y'all can really just meditate on it, because it's something you should be prepared for first fruits, really. But if anyone would like to go ahead, I mean, it looked like Rahab, right? Yeah, Rahab. I've seen his eyes get lit. Go ahead.
More, that's something I've been lacking in. I took a couple steps back in the spirit on that. So that's why I went out of my way to purchase a library card, to get in the spirit of reading all aspects of, different books, like religious books, history books, stuff like that, psychology books, to get my mind, different stuff, later I want to read medical books, just to know, how to, I may have to, go in the wilderness, who knows, like break a leg. we know how to do that.
Exactly.
Fix a leg or something real quick
Exactly.
so we keep moving. So, you know, just stuff like that, you know. I was watching the video too, you was talking about 1%. Brother basically said the knowledge of the world free, but nobody, you know, nobody get it. You know, it's the 3%. You know, the 3% of people in the world got a library card.
Yeah.
The knowledge of the world free, but you know,
Right. It's cold right there.
Taking advantage of it. So that's one thing I preached on. You know, just trying to read, get more reading, consume.
Right.
Like that.
All praise be to the Most High. Man, that's a good one right there. But yeah, Israel, let's work on that, man. And dang, I forgot to bring this part out, but it's all good. But yeah, let's just work on that. Let's increase. If y'all want to look into it, there was when I was talking about the tongue and how powerful the tongue is. I was looking into this doctor, which I don't know how super factual it is. Some people was trying to rebuttal it or debunk it, but at the same time, though, I mean, it did hold value, you know, according to what the scriptures say. So the doctor name was Dr. Emoto, and he had a water and rice experiment. And basically what he did is he collected water and he sealed it. And he spoke value, I guess, into the water. So, you know, he had 3 cups of water, and then, you know, he would say some pleasant things to one cup, negative things to other cup, and then he'll leave another cup just untampered with. It just wasn't messed with. So what he started noticing is that the one cup that he was speaking value into, the water itself was creating some type of nice shapes. So you had like the star, you had different type of shapes that it was creating, and it was actually reacting in some way. It was development. Now, when you looked in the middle, where the middle one, when he was talking to, it was all disordered. Like it didn't create no type of shape. It didn't come together. It was just all over the place. So then he was like, all right, well, I don't know if this is really factual or not. Let's compare it with rice. Then he did it with rice, 3 cups of rice, same concept. He let him sit out. One of the rice actually started growing. The one that was actually getting positive word from him. The one in the middle actually created mold. That's what he said. It created mold. And then the one at the end, it was molding up as well because it didn't have any type of acknowledgement. So, like I said, I don't know how factual or anything that is, but something I was looking to, which is interesting. You know, I heard about, you know, people when they have plants, and they say you speak into the plants in order to grow better. Our words got power. So I wouldn't doubt it if that's with our normal food too. You know, who knows? And even with the water is still living. So that's just something y'all can check out. But yeah, that's everything. You have any questions or anything? That's it. Con. All praise be to the Most High. All right, well, let's go ahead and close it out. Yeah, there was no questions online. Good points online that I see. People was really making some good points. I'm glad y'all liked it. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and close out. Shalom, Israel.